was really lucky that God put me in places and let me see things that changed my viewpoint and made me realize that what I always wanted to do was be this big rock star and tour the world, do this stuff. And I got a taste of it and got to be in some big places. And then things happened where I went, man, this isn't what I want to do. It doesn't feel right to me anymore. I was like, this is just all fleshy, earthy stuff and earthly. And I was like, It goes back to when I was a kid, and I could read really young, like 3 or 4 years old. I could start reading when I was a kid and I read a lot of things. So I had a first grade teacher that had me like reading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I was 6 years old. I mean, and they knew that I could handle it. And I just was really advanced in my stuff like that. And we had a little, we had a little church. There was a little Presbyterian church near us that I went to, and I started, studying a lot as a kid, and was really into it, and got baptized. And people were like, "You're going to be a preacher." I could read and do all these things, and life changed some things. I had, just like this. I had parents got divorced. I had an older brother that was killed in a car wreck when he was 17. I was 13. My path kind of went from, I always had a thing for God, but it kind of went like this because when I was like 14, I inherited my brother's music collection, and it was Van Halen and AC/DC and Def Leppard, and I kind of went that direction and was like, oh, I want to be a guitar player, and kicked into that, and that kind of changed me because at 13 and 14, I was hanging out with my brother's friends that were all juniors and seniors, so they were 17 and I was 13, 14, and I went through that high school stage of partying really early, and drugs and partying and all that stuff. Nothing too much, but it was like that. So the time I got like near 18 and got to where I was like, I really love playing guitar, I was serious and kind of pushed out all that. So I wasn't into it for the drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. I mean, the women, oh yeah, man, I loved all that. That was fantastic, dude. You can't have, I had hair down to my waist, man. I had good hair too, man. Curly hair, man. Filled the thing. I got to where I got married and really wanted to be a great father for my kids, and started kind of really settling into, I'm going to figure out this whole God thing. And I wanted to be the best parent I could. I started studying. And that led me down a path where I was still playing music, trying to figure out this spiritual type thing. And then I was reading everything, and I was kind of like, then at that time period, I was like super new agey, man. Everything was, Christ consciousness, and let's do all this. And, which I'm glad I went through, because at this point now I can look back at it and say, I know why it's not right, because I was there. You can, and that's, you go through that. And, I ended up going through some people that I really love them. There's a Unity Church, but they were doing stuff like their bookstore would have like everything you could think of, like Buddhist text, and you had everything. You're like, at the time I was like 30. I was like, this is awesome. They're like, you got to find your path. And so I'm reading all this stuff, and I started seeing correlations between stuff. But at some point it all went, these all can't be right. They all can't. It does not work like that. The Islam, all these ones, I'm like, I see correlations and stuff between all of them. But it really came down to me at some point along the way. I had this, I was reading the Bible a lot. Still was kind of my walk wasn't strong. But I think to me, it was really reading about Paul and the New Testament, and reading about what he came from as this, he was killing Christians, man. And I think about that and go, God took Paul, who was doing that, and made him into this amazing messenger for what Christ, who he was and stuff. And I'm like, he could take anybody. And then I started seeing it throughout the Bible. It's like, he's taking normal people. And it kind of hit me and struck to me and said, if he's really doing this with these kind of people, and they're having these, life-changing, world-changing, events type stuff, I was like, that can happen for me. And it did. It kind of like, I started realizing, I was like, my life just is nothing. I have to, it's all I have to put God first. And when you start doing that, life actually gets harder. I think a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you do that and you're really on point, you're going to get attacked. You're going to have a lot of spiritual warfare. You're going to have a lot of stuff. And for me, it was a lot of things came at me hard. And that's when I started realizing, I was like, I'm on the right path. This is it. And I got stronger and was like, I'm not going to let all these things happen to take me down. And that's what really worked for me. And it was just kind of knowing that, reading it made it place. And then I finally just came to it. It was like, you can't, Jesus, He's the way. There is no other way to God except through him. And once I realized that, it kind of pushed a lot of things off the side. I'm glad I had all the knowledge with it, and I've learned a lot from it. But that for me was like my big transition. And actually, another one for me was probably around 2009. I was playing with a world-renowned Journey tribute band called Frontiers. Lead singer was in Journey for a little while before Arnell. He wrote some songs with them. It's pretty cool. I got picked up, went on the road with them, and what was crazy is I was literally playing a show in Kennesaw, Georgia. It was, thousands and thousands of people. It was huge, and we were doing "Don't Stop Believing," and I could see a crowd for a mile, and everybody singing, and I was literally playing, and I went in my head, I've worked my whole life for this. This is what I've been wanting to do. And I literally saw everything slow down in time. Everybody was kind of singing, doing their hands like this. And I heard a voice in my head said, "This isn't what you're meant to do." And I was like, what? And it literally, like I said, it did. It was in my head. And it was like, so when I came off stage, I told the guys, and even like a week before, I said, "I'm never going to leave this band, man. I love this. It's so fantastic." And I literally walked to the leader and was like, "I'm going to have to leave, man. I'm going to put in my notice. This isn't, I got something else to admit." And at that point, I started really trying to push toward things, and I had some serious rocky things into it. But it wasn't until about 2013 that I got rebaptized. I got baptized as a kid, but I got rebaptized in a church. And it was kind of cool. I got baptized in the parking lot of a movie theater. Hey man, you can't get any different than that. So it was cool. It moved some things for me. So I came out from that and left that and was trying to really get myself on. And then where did I go to church at? My church is called Journey Church, and everybody. So all the people that I toured around the country and stuff, every post was like, "Don't stop believing, Kenny. Wheel in the sky." Everything was like, it was a big, nice, funny joke. I thought it was funny too, but I was like, hey man, I'll take it. God was like, okay, man, this is what's going on with it. So yeah, man, it's a big change for me, and kind of, and I went from kind of doing the rock stuff. I've been really blessed, man, because I have a band called Uptown that I created from my church people, all the church people, and they're all the music minister, the female, and her husband, the keyboard, all these people I would watch in church. I went to this church and was watching them. They're like, they're amazing. And we put together a band, and it's basically a secular band. We went out and played dance music. It's like Prince and stuff, but we keep it clean. It's festivals, everything's free time, but we reach a lot of people. I bring a lot of people to church that see us. They see us pray before shows. They see how we do with stuff. I'll talk about, our singer, our girl singer, and say, she's fantastic doing this, but you want to really see her, come see her channel God. Come see God come through her singing the Holy Spirit. And it'll blow your mind. Yeah. So, I'm very lucky with that, man. I can't complain. Probably in the late 2000s, I went on a thing. It was called pilgrimage. There was a thing they do with it. You went to this weekend retreat. It really opened my eyes up. It was just some amazing things. but when I came out of it, I was still playing my rock band and stuff. And, I went through things, but I didn't feel it. I felt like I was like, man, I feel like I'm an alcohol salesperson. Like, this is all I'm doing is bringing people this stuff. So I was ready to get out of it. I was like, I think I'm going to try to concentrate on just playing Christian music, doing stuff like this. And it was really funny because I had a guy who was like, oh yeah, man, that's what a lot of washed up guitar players, they do that. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And I could feel that kind of that put on me. But one of the greatest things happened to me, I was going to a little church in Buckhannon, Virginia, where I grew up. And I would actually sometimes lead a Bible study. I would be out on the road and playing, and I'd come in and work with it. And a lot of the people were much older than me. And I think I was like in my early 40s, maybe late 30s, actually about late 30s. But I would do this Bible study, and all these people were like 60, 70. They were all older, and they loved that I had this hunger and knowledge. And I would teach them stuff, and they'd be like, I've never heard any of this stuff. And a lot of that's because I was like reading Chuck Missler and these guys, and was like, hey, check this out. And they'd be like, I've never heard that. And, but the biggest moment for me was there was a lady in there, and her name was Ray, and she was an older lady. And I noticed one day that she had on her license plate, it said Dry 1971. And I asked her, I was like, what's your license plate about? She says, well, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have been since 1971. And I was like, wow, she did the Alcoholics Anonymous stuff. And I was talking to her, and I said, I feel what you're saying with that. I said, I think I need to get out of the bars and stuff. And she looked at me and she said, Kenny C, no, that's not what God's calling you to do. You're not supposed to leave that. He says, you're out there reaching people that will never come to church. There's people there that what they're looking for, they're finding in a bottle, they're looking for Jesus. They're looking for that, to fill that, and they're not getting it. And she did. It changed my whole perspective on stuff. I realized, I was like, she's right. She's right. Just because, and I realized I had to go there. Now, to be in that atmosphere, you have to, I had to really change everything. I don't drink. I see people that were hurt, and they were there with nowhere to go, and they weren't going to come to a church because they knew they were going to get judged by everybody in their nice clothes and all these things. And they would see me, or I'd even have something like one time I came out of this pilgrimage thing, somebody gave me this like blue, it was like a blue glow in the dark cross. And I had it on a necklace chain. I would put it underneath my shirt, but we were on stage and I didn't think about I had it. And I felt something to pull it out, and the lights went down, and I pulled this thing out, and it was the only thing glowing on stage was this blue cross. And I heard an audible gasp from people in a crowd, a bar. They went, and I knew, I was like, they saw it, and something, it hit some people. Some people were like, they knew, and they talked to me afterward. They're like, are you a Christian, man? You playing these bands, you're a rock guy? And I was like, yeah, I am. And right then, the seed, there it goes. Talk to these people. Even when I was not completely in my walk as far as I am now, when I was touring, we'd be at House of Blues playing all over the country, New Orleans and Chicago and Cleveland. I would do Bible study during the day because we'd get there, set up, have sound check, and nothing to do. And I'd sit out in a little there and have my Bible out, studying. And the bartenders and waitresses would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, Bible study. And they were like, what? They were like, yeah. But you know what the thing was? All of them were like, that's amazing. They're like, that you have that to do it. I was like, this is from, I'm trying to grow as a person. I want to be a better Christian. And it would always plant a seed. And some of those people I've met from 10, 12 years ago became Christians. I know because of meeting me. That's just an amazing thing to think about. Now, they had to make the choices and all the stuff into it, but that seed was planted, and that's what happened with it. So, yeah, man, the big movement for me was this lady Ray, and she was just it changed my perspective of what I'm doing, and I still think that way. I think that we should be able to. The world is out there, and just playing it in the churches is not reaching everybody. I'd rather go out there and play stuff and maybe throw a little Christian music in, but have stuff and people be like, you're reaching them to come to God. They're like, you have to go to them. They're not just coming to the church for any reason.
We're here to about bring a clean, family-friendly show to where, you know, anybody can come out.
Hallelujah.